This is Mark Dell from Android Spin, and this review is for Backstab by Gameloft. It's rare that I review a game without completing the main story. In actual fact, I can't recall more than one other occasion where this has happened in the last 4 years, but Backstab is a special case. Not because the game is fantastically long, although it isn't a short game, but after a while it became a battle of patience, and I lost. The sad thing is that Backstab shouldn't be a bad game. It dazzles you with its promises of being a handheld version of Assassin's Creed, and everything looks to be going well until the pieces that make up the game start to bear their issues. For those who haven't seen Assassin's Creed, it's a PC and console game which focuses on traversing historic cities, effortlessly climbing the tallest buildings, and dispatching foes with great finesse, while being wrapped in a ludicrous but fantastic storyline. This is everything that Backstab wants to be, but it wisely starts off by separating itself from the game that was such an influence on it, by choosing very different region, time period, story and characters. The story focuses on the betrayal of your childhood friend, and moves beyond that into many other storylines and areas. Everything seems fine until nearly halfway through, when you have to obtain an artifact from a booby-trapped tomb to rid the city of zombies. It's hard to say why there are zombies in the main story, and it really stands out when compared to what else I've seen. The story is told through fully voiced cutscenes that have some of the worst performances I've seen. Even beyond the voice acting, the pacing of the dialogue is such that sometimes the subtitles will rush forward faster than you can read, and other times the character will pause between scenes of dialogue for an uncomfortably long period of time and deliver the next lines in a totally different tone. The animations in the scenes also have their problems. The camera often flashes between the different characters jarringly without lining up correctly, and the lack of any mouth movements for the character delivering the dialogue is often well overcompensated, with wild waving of the arms, even if the tone of the dialogue doesn't really support it.
Damn bloodsuckers! Why do I persist in living out here? Do you know? Tell me, please!
I couldn't tell you, but do you know the way to Toretto, yes?
You want me to draw you a map? You scratch my back, I'll scratch yours.
Traversal of large cities is definitely what separates any open world game of this style from the others, and you start in a respectively large city where you can do just that. It's unfortunate that none of the cities are particularly tall, and you'll never be more than a couple of leaps away from the top of even the tallest building. And there's also large areas of the main story where you'll be in a large open area, making the building traversal even more inconsequential to the overall game experience. Even still, jumping freeform between the buildings is still one of the best elements of Backstab, but when you have moved into a slightly tighter area where you're forced to make more specific jumps, then the more frustrating side of the game begins to rear its head. Navigating around a platforming area is often made tougher than it needs to be by placing platforms above you and offering no indication of their location with use of the camera or waypoints. But worse than this is that sometimes these jumps can't be completed if you're not perfectly lined up to take it. You never know what your character will do when reaching a ledge. He might stop at an invisible wall, jump, or cling to the edge. This unpredictability, coupled with a camera that can suddenly spin around turning your shimmy across a ledge action into a drop to my death action, means that you'll be making a lot of use of the often frustratedly located checkpoints. Issues with the camera aren't restricted to just jumping areas. You'll often have to keep turning the camera to keep a view of what's going on around you, which can be particularly tricky in the otherwise enjoyable combat. Sure, the combat can be a little bit mashy with a single attack button, but it moves well and the executions are swift enough to keep the combat flowing. But sadly, like most of the other elements in Backstab, there are problems here too. Combat doesn't occur as often as perhaps you'd like, as when inside a city you'll draw endless waves of soldiers towards you that you're unlikely to outrun. Also, when in a fight, the execution button appears in the same spot as the icon that'll switch to your weapon. So if you time your tap of the button poorly, then you'll pull your sword away and pull out a gun while you're hacked away by enemy soldiers, or zombies. Backstab can be fun if you're willing to put these issues aside and enjoy the fact that you're getting an experience that's far more akin to a console game than almost any other Android game. It's unlikely though that many will be able to put up with this lengthy laundry list of issues for long, and one could only imagine what this game could have been if its level of polish matched its aspirations.
I'm not trying to hurt the animals, I just need the seeds from their nest.
Liar! I saw you attacking them!
They bit me!
Fine! Here! Have your seeds! Just leave my babies alone!